Hey, it's John Santucci from tcpalm.com and Treasure Coast Newspapers. This, of course, is Dennis. I'm not going to go to Vegas anytime soon. Jacob, that's, by the way, what one of the Vero Beach's coaches told me right after the game, after they beat Treasure Coast 41-0 last week. Tell Dennis Jacob, don't go to Vegas. So
That might be one of the worst picks in the history of this program. I'll live with it.
Dennis, when you look back real quick at Separation Friday last week, a bunch of district games, what's your biggest takeaway?
There's no substitute for poise in crunch time. I think that's a big reason why Sebastian River, Fort Pierce Westwood, Martin County came up short in big district games. They were all winnable games, but I think Viera, Heritage, and Suncoast were just a little bit more poised in crunch time, and that's why they won.
Well, you know, I'm going to say it's Vero Beach's defense. If you hold a Treasure Coast team that's been averaging over 20 points and over 200 yards a game to 93 yards, I believe, of total offense, that's phenomenal. I don't care what the situation is. You look at the Moment brothers, you look at Pat Bethel and Davion Cross. They did a fantastic job last week against a very difficult run offense. So great job, Vero Beach defense. Let's look at week 9. We're going to keep John Carroll Clearwater for last. So let's start at the bottom of the board. Dennis, give us your picks.
Treasure Coast will bounce back with a win at Mount Senior pace. Kathleen, too much offense, I think, for South Fork. Tough road for St. Ed's. Orlando Christian Prep's undefeated. They'll stay that way. Sebastian River bounces back with a nice win over PSL. Okeechobee will beat, actually I'm going to go Logale to beat Okeechobee in the close game. Heritage will end Jensen Beach's playoff hopes. Fort Pierce Central will stay in the playoff home and win over Centennial.
Interestingly enough, this game, Central, if they lose, they're out. Centennial, even if they lose, they still have some hope. So this is an interesting matchup. By the way, we were requested not to make check marks on the board anymore, so if you have a concern, send it to complaint department at whatever email you want to send it to. Okay, over here, I agree with you. Treasure Coast gets back in the win column. Kathleen, too much for South Fork. Orlando Christian Prep, one of 3 undefeated teams that our teams face this week. They're going to be too much for St. Ed's. Sebastian River bounces back over PSL. I'm going to give it to Okeechobee. I'm going to give it to our 5 overtime winners. They're going to have a little bit more in the tank. And only, I think we'll do it in 4 quarters, by the way. Heritage, I agree. Too much for Jensen Beach. And I think Fort Pierce Central gets back after a 2-game losing streak. John Carroll Catholic, Clearwater Central. These teams are in the same region, Region 3, 3A. So it's very possible these teams will either meet in the first or the second round of the playoffs. John Carroll would like it to be the second round, if at all. How do you see this game breaking up?
Wow, you know, Clearwater Central Catholic 8-0, a lot of playoff appearances in the last 15 years. They've been down this road before. And because it's a possible regional playoff preview, the question is, what do you do if you're John Carroll? Is this more about recon, getting some info, or just emptying out the playbook to try to win? I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with Clearwater Central Catholic to win it 32-25. That penmanship there, but 32-25.
I want to figure out how that scoring breakdown works. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think that I don't think that John Carroll's going to let the rabbit out of the bag. I think that they're going to just do enough, play their defense. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 27-21. Clearwater takes it, but I think, like you said, I think a lot of this is going to be a recon mission for a very talented John Carroll team. So we want to hear back from you. Hashtag TCPrepZone, at Dennis Jacob 80, at John Santucci. Dennis, any thoughts?
No, looking forward to the week. I think even though it's not a lot of district play this week as it was a week ago, still some really good games out there.
Absolutely. Guys, have a great and safe week.
See ya.